right, what's up, good people? It's your boys, the Beards of One. We're back again. We got myself, Thick Nick Fury. We got FBR for President Fat Broken Rambo. And you got Hey Captain Jack. Today, Scorched Earth can't be with us, but he's with us in spirit. All right, we're gonna get into this, man. We got Yellowjackets, season 3, episode 4. A lot going on in this episode. Some shocking revelations happen. We have the the trial of Coach Scott. Fair trial, America, this is America, something like that. So we got our feral femme fatales, and they are ready to incorporate a little bit of justice. So I don't know, where do you want to start with this, Rambo?
Yeah, man. Hey, welcome back to the show, guys. Thanks for coming out and checking us out the channel. We're talking all Yellow Jackets tonight, but yeah, man, I don't know. So obviously the big event of this week's episode in the 96 timeline is the trial. So I figured we could kind of kick off from there and then lead into the present timeline. So like we like to kind of streamline things so that way it's easier for us to keep the story straight and for you guys to follow along. So we're going to talk about the 96 timeline, then we'll talk about the 20, I think we're at 2021 still timeline technically. But yeah, man, so it kicks off. Ben's been led into the camp, and he's the ladies are trying to formulate their trial. So they've established who's going to defend, who's going to prosecute, who's going to be the presiding official or judge, magistrate, whatever you want to call it, and that's going to be Natalie, the Antler Queen, right? And then Ty is going to serve as prosecution, and they turned into lo and behold to Misty fucking Quigley as the defense. So
Yes,
you know,
she's the
yeah,
ace of spades, jack of all trades. She does it all, man.
she does, man, and she does it with style too. When she quote unquote works the room, man, Misty is capable of pretty much doing a fair amount of damage anyway, and she plays it smart. I think Ty was a little bit fueled by motivation to see justice done, not necessarily the right type of justice, but justice against Ben.
Yep.
Um, and I will say that it's interesting because it kind of alludes to it. Like I said, the title is 12 Angry Girls and One Drunk Travis. Um, I've watched the episode, I think, two and a half, maybe three times, and then a quick flat forward through for this review real quick. But I don't recall seeing Travis A drunk or B actually drinking anything. So I'm not quite sure where that comes into play. Um, they're intentional with the titles, so I think that's going to mean something because obviously 12 Angry Girls references 12 Angry Men, the famous 1957 film about trials and tribulations of serving on a jury. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, man. The trial seemed kind of like a farce, and it obviously it's going to be a farce because by the end of it, we know that they're just out to get revenge. I think they're motivated by something more than actually like seeking the quote unquote justice. I don't think you have as many true believers that Ben actually started the fire. Uh, Mari is a fucking coward through and through, man. She did not relay any of the information of her time in captivity. And if she did, she didn't do it well enough because you're talking about taking a person's life and they should take this role seriously. But I mean, they are 17 or 18-year-old, young teenagers. So I can kind of understand their perspective. I found it, yeah, a little frustrating because obviously you've got the side that wants to see uh, Coach pay with his life. And then as the trial kind of like continues, we start to see a lot more fractions in the group, especially when it came to initiating the verdict, right? So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. And that's the thing, man. Like, and this is why the judicial system is so important, right? Because
yeah,
it's a jury of your peers, not a jury of your victims or perceived victims, right? So you're trying now to convince yourself that you're not the person who caused harm to these people who are literally have you on trial, right? And even Coach Scott even said it, like this is a farce. Like he already knows
yeah,
he doesn't really have a fair shake, right?
yeah,
He's got about as much a chance of winning this as talking himself out of being dinner at a cannibal's buffet. Like it's just not happening, bro. You can't talk yourself out of this, right? He had a better chance of talking to his mom and to get McDonald's when she already said there's food at home. He knew like I'm just at the whim of whatever goes on here. Travis is like, dude, better you than me. Like, it's like it's kind of like one of those situations where, you go in knowing, okay, I don't really have a chance, but at least if you kind of played it to humanity a little bit, which is kind of what Missy was trying to do, and create that reasonable doubt, which she did. Like there was no definitive proof that
yeah,
Coach Scott started the fire. And that did get into she did reach some of those individuals, but of course they were influenced, which is extremely like this is not what a trial is. Like Shauna basically like angry eyed everybody. They're like, oh no, you're gonna say yes. And they're like, oh, okay. So now Shauna basically just bullied everybody into going along with
yeah,
he's guilty. So I'm like, well, how is that a trial? But again, we kind of figured this is not going to go in Coach Scott's, defense and his best effort. But it was just one of those things where we just want to see how bad it would go. Missy did a great job of defending him. She really did. Um,
Yeah,
and
I think she missed her calling in life, to be honest with you, man. She was a,
she could have done anything, really.
to quote Ted the Bear, she's a hell of a litigator,
Yeah,
you know?
that she is. That she is. And but again, like I said, just the whole influence of Shauna, and people are afraid of Shauna, and rightfully so. Like Shauna has shown what she's capable of. No one really wants to stand up against her. So it's like, okay, yeah, for my own, gratification, self benefit, I'm going to timidly go along with, yeah, he's guilty, put him to death. And I don't even know if they're going to do that. Like, I don't know if that was the decision. Like, okay, we're putting him to death when he's found guilty. I don't even know if they discussed what the punishment would be.
So Shauna alluded to, the fact that she feels he's guilty beyond a doubt, and that, um, I think to quote her, she said, Coach Scott wants to play with fire, so let's give him fire. So, in the trailer, and we're going to show the trailer after we do the review of the episode. For next week's episode, episode 5, you see Coach kind of like screaming in agony in a sequence, and I think it's either going to be they're tourniqueting him, like basically they don't have a meat locker for winter for summertime, and I'm going to poke a hole in my own theory here in a second. They're either going to tourniquet him and kind of like take pieces as they see fit to not spoil the meat, or they're going to try to set him on fire. And when we get to theories, I'll talk a little bit more about where I think that's kind of going to go. But that's what I saw with Shauna, and Shauna's in for a power grab, man. Like, and here's the thing that kind of pisses me off about the team dynamic, right? In this jury pool, like she whittles them down, and gets them to just kind of like, all agree to murder. I think everyone in the group knows that Coach Scott did not, it's not like he's going to walk out on one leg. I mean, I kind of hope his character does because I don't want to see
Yes,
Coach Scott die,
his
but like.
apes with one leg. Yeah.
I mean,
The
Virginia Hall did it during World War II, man. She humped over the Alps with a prosthetic, so anything's possible.
Yeah, true. And then he might ask for help because there are people who do kind of take his side, who do believe in him, right?
Yeah,
Now the
but
whole thing with the cannibalism part, I think that would kind of more it it almost seems like that wouldn't be the case because they are obviously in a place where they don't have to refer to cannibalism to survive. They're keeping animals as pets. That means you're
very
not
true.
that hungry, right? You're not killing
Very
ducks,
true.
you're not killing rabbits. So if they're doing that, it's just simply because it's out of, like just the ability to impart damage on this person. It's not doing it for survival. So I think they would probably torture him, but I don't think they would eat him because even Mia was complaining about eating bats. Like, okay, well, you ate a human, like now you can complain about bats. So that means they have some sort of food source that's probably plentiful around this time of the year. So they're probably a little bit of a surplus, right? So I think we're kind of done with the cannibalism part. I think they're kind of okay, we're kind of progressing now. I don't think it's gonna go, oh, we're just cannibals now. Like, well, no, we did what we had to do to
No,
survive that part. And now you're moving on to the next. Now they have their own government and they're trying to, kind of create their own, like they have the tribunals and all this stuff and their own
yeah,
sort of civilization. So I think they want to get away from the cannibalism part. I think everyone's kind of over that. But again, when winter comes, you don't know. Like if we're back in the same situation, yeah, we're gonna have to do what we have to do. But I think there's still like the wilderness chooses, right? So people are
right.
still gonna die, right, for the wilderness, for the sacrifice or whatever. But I don't think they're gonna be, oh, let's kill them so we can eat them. I don't think we're there anymore.
I don't know, man, because I could see the utility in actually, like if I was to put myself in their shoes, which I really can't because I'm not at a point where I would choose cannibalism over death. Um, I still think he's a loose end, and I think they're treating him as that threat. So I mean, they could potentially just keep him prisoner until wintertime and the food shortage maybe commences, and they're just like, this is why we stock the pantry.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't know. But I don't think their attempt at dealing up, their rogue justice to or vigilante justice to Coach Scott is going to go in their favor. Like, if anything, the show has taught us is that the deaths in the show never go the way we think they're going to go because the wilderness chooses, right? And this is the lore that they've established in the show. So I would say by that metric, I would say that you know the wilderness is going to choose whether or not to take Coach Scott as a sacrifice, for whatever. Um, I don't know, man. I could see it's going to be interesting. So, like, I definitely felt like this episode was a little bit of a filler. There were some interesting tidbits that I think it's a filler episode, right? It's taking the time to build onto something and maybe hopefully show us something bigger and better as the season progresses. And we're just episode 4 in, man. So, like, I know there's a lot of hate in the fandom right now for it, but one of the things I love is the fact that they are making the characters, their decisions are influencing how I see them as characters in the show. Like I have drawn a hatred for like Van and Ty and Mari now because at some point either so Coach Scott in the last episode freed Mari, helped her reset her leg, and then gave her food out of his own supply to and safeguard her. Got her back to her friends, and then they all turned against her. And then, well, hell, man, he even saved helped save Shauna
Right.
in from that. So
Shona,
he
Aquila, and
and Van.
right.
So all them motherfuckers are out to just let this dude burn and go down like this, knowing that they owe their lives to him. And that, which is great, man, because that makes for a great character arc and makes me like emotionally connected to those characters. And like now I want to see fucking Shauna as the villain because her her displays of anger and stuff, and like, man, I was like, you know what? I'm kind of all in on you going this crazy ass route because the actress plays both actresses play the character so well.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Like Shauna, like for the first time, I really did see her as like a villain
Yeah,
in this. I'm like, wow, oh, well, I no longer like Shauna. I don't know how I feel about Shauna. She's bullying everybody into choosing obviously the wrong decision. So, yeah, that's interesting, man. Like I said, Coach really didn't stand a chance as he knew. Um, and then like Travis probably kind of wondering, like, hey, am I next? Like, this is the only other male here. I don't know if Travis really sees it as that, but like who's next? Who's going to be the next one that gets turned on, and how is that going to be influenced? Because everyone's just going on based off of like no one's being autonomous. Like, okay, this is my decision. I'm going to
yeah,
stick with it. They're influenced by everyone else, and it seems like Shauna is that opposing force that seems to be pushing against like Lottie is pushing against everybody else. So Shauna is going to end up being like like the Lord of the Flies type thing. I got the conch shell, that. So I don't know,
absolutely.
man. Yeah. All right. So
It
I,
it it is. I will say that to close out the trial sequence, like the best scene I thought was when Melissa comes up to Shauna at the end after they vote to basically deal with Coach. And she like they interlace fingers and she like looks at her, she's like, she makes a reference to power and she's like, that's true power. And the
mhm.
look of concern on Lottie's face as those two move away, and she's like, "Oh man," it's like she's visibly seeing the group fracture. So you're gonna have like, I mean, honestly, man, Shauna's probably been the one that's been through the absolute worst of all of them. Like, I'm not trying to say like, she wins the trauma board of the week or anything like that, but man, that woman has been through some shit. And I can understand. I feel like that betrayal of or has she perceived as a betrayal from the first anointing of the Antler Queen, she felt like it was hers.
Right.
Um, and I think she felt that way based on everything that she had gone through and the stuff that she had done for the group as a whole. I mean, because like butchering a human being, I can only imagine how mindfuckery that is. Um, that would probably stay with a person. And I'm sure Shauna is feeling some of that rage because of that. Like she's like, I do a lot for you motherfuckers, and this is what
Yeah.
you're giving me in return, kind
For
of
what?
thing.
Right. Exactly. Nothing in
and
return.
and now she's taking it. She's taking that power. So it's going to be interesting to see it shift. And I would say that yeah, we do end up having to resort to cannibalism at least one more time. Okay, the presumption is that they ate Pit Girl in the pilot of season one, right?
Hmm.
We don't actually see them, take the corpse out. I think we see them they hang it and then they bleed it, and then we just assume that they're eating that person. So I think there's still another bout of cannibalism to come, and I still kind of stick firmly that there's going to be the rescue timeline and the event that is going to cause them to all kind of like splinter off away from each other and develop that story is going to be that event. I don't think it's going to be the wilderness.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I love it. Like, great theories, man. That's the good thing about the show. There's all these different theories, and
I know,
anything
right?
can be right, anything can be true, anything can be false, right?
Yeah.
The answer is always C.
And it, and
Um,
it, and it keeps me coming back for next week's episode, man.
that's it. All right,
Yeah.
cool, man. All right, you want to get into this current timeline?
Yeah. So
The
the current timeline, if
2021.
yeah, I still think it's 2021, maybe 22, because the 6 week time jump, and I'm not sure. I didn't see any holidays or festivities announcing a holiday season, so I'm only guessing. But yeah, so Jeff is on this, probably My Name is Earl marathon where he believes in karma now, and he is all in. So he volunteers the family to go to Misty's senior citizen home and help with bingo. And as soon as Misty sees this shit, she's like, "You're on tapioca duty." Um, and then yeah,
AP.
so I think Randy is going to kill Jeff because he's taking the limelight. I'm just kidding. Um, Randy definitely doesn't like being second fiddle to Jeff's jokes because Jeff's
Yeah,
jokes are far
right.
superior.
Oh,
But they're
especially
but
on
they're really
bingo.
not.
Right. This is new corny, new forms of corny, right?
Yeah,
It's new. Nothing beats new, right?
and there must be a book, man, because okay, I'm
Mhm.
44 years old and I go to bingo. All right. My local town has got bingo once a month in the wintertime. My wife and I go. And those same jokes that Jeff actually uses are said by our bingo announcer, who's probably only a couple years older than us.
Plagiarism.
And I'm just like, oh man, you just feel maybe a little defeated and expressing some rage against Shauna for, the behavior. We find out the brakes weren't actually cut. It was just a mechanical malfunction over time, so complete normal. And I forget what they actually called it. Um, but yeah, the mechanic explains it away, and so it makes Shauna look a little bit paranoid with Jeff. But I kind of understand her perspective, so I feel that way too if a purple cult had come after me.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and then we get to the big segue back over to Misty's location is that Shauna kind of gets locked in the meat locker somehow,
Right.
um, and she has a vision. Jackie comes in and hangs out with her. But Jackie's dialogue is interesting because I actually wrote it down. Jackie alludes to the fact that there's some irony of her potentially, freezing in here and being, this is what you deserve for what you did in the wilderness and what you did upon return. So that alludes that Shauna has done something horrific after post rescue. Now it could be the Adam storyline because Jackie is a figment of her imagination. So I mean, Jackie would be up to speed on all the ongoings of Shauna if that
Mhm.
was the case. But maybe it's not. Maybe there is still something that occurs, and maybe I'm just fueling my own theory and hoping that that's what it is.
Yeah, I like it. I will say this, man. I don't know what it is about these meat lockers and only being locked from the outside. Have we learned nothing from I Love Lucy? Like, let's put a locking mechanism on the inside. So that way, I'd much rather be able to get out than to get in, right? Okay, so I don't know what it is about these meat lockers or if that's a thing. Why are they always being able to be locked from the outside and not open from the inside? It just never makes sense. But I get it. It's for effect, right? We don't know who locked her in because supposedly Misty left right before it all happened because she came out looking for Misty and later said, "Oh, she left hours ago." But did
Yeah.
she? Like, we don't know, right? We don't know if it was Walter. Like, it literally at this point could be anyone. It could be the mysterious, shadowy woman. We don't know.
Yeah, but what's interesting is she does hit the emergency button on the so that
Mm.
handle that she's pushing, that button is the emergency access to get out of a meat locker. I mean, at least I worked in KFC when I was a kid, so I knew that was there, but she hits it and doesn't open. But when Randy comes to the door, um
Right? I'm just like, well, who makes a wall meat locker
so
like
I
this?
mean that's kind of interesting that Randy actually didn't have to pull anything off to open the latch. So I don't know. Maybe this is all in Shauna's head and she's starting to lose it a little bit, which hey man, I'd
Yeah.
welcome that too because that actress is powerful in everything she does. So I'm all in. Show me nutty Shauna, man. Done.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we
Oh,
and then we kind of got what is it, Ty and Van. They do the so they're working on this theory that if they drop the Queen of Hearts card and somebody picks it up, that's the wilderness's way of like selecting
choosing.
the next.
If they get this person as a sacrifice, it will extend Van's life.
Yeah.
Right? So here's the interesting part. Remember at the end of this, Ty tells Van, "Oh, I'll see you in about an hour." So they
Yep.
separate. So now during
Yeah, that's
that
right.
separation, what does Ty go do? Where does she go? Because something else happens maybe within that timeline. I think you know what I'm talking about.
And which Ty is it?
Yeah, right. And a part of it because she said, I don't want it like this." So the evil Ty is like, "Okay, fine, I'll do it," and I know just who to go get.
I don't know, man. It's gonna be interesting.
Mm,
So
mhm.
they do their pretzel ride in New York City in Central Park, and we see us Van's handing over the money to the pretzel guy, and her hand is shaking. So she's got a condition that is probably linked to her cancer that's causing her to tremble like that. Um, and I think that also adds fuel to Ty's fire to do something more drastic.
Right. Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think of what is the aside from the ending. Is there anything else that I'm missing as far as this episode, this current timeline?
Well, I know Lottie is setting up for an apology, right? Like
Yep.
she's practicing the marriage. She's apologizing to someone for something. So now my question would be, okay, is that an apology that you're preparing yourself to do, or an apology that you wish you had done, right? Is it like
Mm.
something you did in the past? Like, was it during the timeline where you guys were stranded, or was it current? Or was it something you're getting ready to apologize for? And who was that to? And that could have been the person that wound up killing her
Yeah, and so
once you found her.
I know Jack, our producer, is watching the show now, so he's currently caught up, but he brought up an interesting point about placement of the characters this week. So Ty and Van go to New York City. And then we also have Shauna, who, after getting out of the freezer, decides to honor Jeff's wishes with like makeup karma. So Jeff in the early in the episode had alluded to finding a cat that's been missing for 2 years. He's like, bonus karma points. So Shauna then says like, fuck it, and goes to New York City and adopts this cat that looks something similar to the other cat that's missing. And she's like, some karma points are better than others, paraphrasing. Um, and it's at that moment where so we're obviously on this karma kick, and it's at that moment where we kind of pan over to Misty, and Misty gets a text message from Walter saying, hey, I'm sorry to hear about Lottie, and nobody knows what's happened. And then she pulls up her Citizens Detectives homepage and clicks on a new case, and it's a crime scene photo of Lottie. Eyes are open. She's at the base of a small set of stairs. Candles align the stairwell. If you guys remember back to season one, Lottie in the 96 crash timeline was having visions of like water coming down the sides of this kind of like stairwell in a basement. It looks like pipes are running alongside the ceiling. I think it's the exact same location, but cops are there, crime scene tape is there. Lottie's eyes are definitely wide open, and she's either playing the best version of Freeze or she's definitely fucking unalive.
Yeah,
Um, I'm really curious to see what that location is, like because she was having visions of it in season one. So I'm interested to check that out.
yeah.
I'm curious if that's like the basement of the mental institution that she was in as a child, and then all right. So I got some notes.
Go
If we're
for it.
ready to talk about some details. Yep, we already talked about stairwell. Yep, handshakes. Queen of Hearts theory. Yep, we already talked about that. Picking the random guy, that poor bastard. Don't pick up cards on the side of the road, guys.
Right? And for what reason? Like, why would you put that in your pocket
Yeah.
and take it home? Oh, I was missing a Queen of Hearts from my deck, so this just lucked out. No, not how cards work.
I did find it kind of strange that Walter, like, so we don't have a timeline of when Lottie was supposedly killed, but like, crime scene photos already leaking onto the internet like that. I think that's kind of fast.
Right.
Or she could be dead for a while. Um, of note, Lottie looks like she is appealing to Aquila to take the shrooms and or the concoction that makes her hallucinate. Um,
And she definitely wasn't dressed for the outdoors. Like so,
no, she was not.
she looked like she had like a slip on, a nightgown. I don't know. So I don't know what she was doing in that area or
Yeah,
what how she ended up at the bottom of those stairs, but definitely unalived. Like it's not like, oh, maybe she's just laying on a comatose. No, police tape means one thing, and that's a dead body. So who did it is the real question, and like we have plenty of theories. Listen, it could be Coach Scott. I'm dead serious. Coach Scott, but yeah, remember when we were back there doing the trial and you changed your mind and all like it could be anything. Like
yeah.
it could be Melissa, like because again that power struggle between Shauna and everybody else. So Hillary Swank's character that we still haven't seen yet. Uh, man, there's so many theories, or 'cause everyone has you know a reason, I guess, to kind of be there, right? Like Ty has a reason, Coach Scott has a reason, uh, Melissa has like everyone can have a reason. So it'll be interesting to see who it was.
Yeah, and there was one last thing I was going to mention before we go into the next episode's breakdown, but or I'm sorry, trailer breakdown was the letter that Misty picks up while she's in the nursing home still working on a shift, right? She takes it from one of her patrons if I remember correctly, and then she opens it, it's a blank piece of paper and she tries to do the UV light that she did with like Walter's first message. And I'm
Right.
kind of interested to see where that goes because they made it a point to show it multiple times throughout the episode, and yet we went nowhere with it. So I'm hoping it's not a dangle, and I'm kind of hoping it's going to be something interesting, like I don't know, invisible ink or some shit like that.
Right. Yeah, some kind of
Um,
message.
be beautiful, but I
Oh,
I just don't feel like it's going to happen. And
I
I'm
know.
gonna,
Because it'd be interesting to see how he was would have survived out there with all odds against him.
yeah.
Uh,
I will say this. I don't usually do this. Okay, most of the time I don't usually do this. What's interesting is if you look on IMDb and you look at the casting of the casting sheet for the next few episodes coming up, spoiler beware, Coach Scott is still listed on the cast for the next couple of episodes at least, and that's pretty as far out as they've released on IMDb. Now, this could be completely just a bunch of disinformation to kind of throw fans off, what not to
flashbacks like
expect.
with Jackie. Jackie's still like in the credits. She's in the
Oh,
opening
that's
credits.
good.
Yeah,
That's
so
good.
just because they're gonna be a flashback, so they're never really off the show.
So yeah, man. And sorry, quick correction. That's Jack's wife. Jack's wife was the one that brought up New York. Just relayed through Jack. So thanks, Jack's wife. Really appreciate it. Yeah, Archie, I'm with you too, man. I don't like Mari at all, but she's a well-written character who I can't wait to see get her just
Her
desserts
comeuppance, right?
since we're sticking with the food puns. But yeah, man, I think that pretty much I don't really have anything else to contribute on this episode. Like I said,
Yeah, man.
wasn't great, but a couple of little nuggets that we got makes me excited for the next episode for sure.
Yeah, and we got a major character death. So yeah, so it does lead to something. It leads to okay, now we got to find out
Yeah.
who won alive Lottie.
And that was a
But
lot, man. It's surprising to see that in the last couple minutes too. Like just no real buildup, no real because they just introduced her again. And I was like, man, I thought this was gonna go somewhere. And nope, she's fucking dead.
there you go. All
And
right,
it
so
better be
let's get
something,
into
man.
this.
It's gotta be something that's not Adam. Don't leave us hanging like that.
Yeah, right. Like let's don't do that, please. All right, so let's you want to get into the trailer for the next episode?
Yeah, man, I think that's a great
I
time.
think we
All right,
should.
guys, we're gonna check out the new trailer.
It's about Lottie. She's dead.
Spoiler alert.
We found him guilty. I say if Ben wanted to play with fire, then we give him fire.
It feels fishy. I need to leave this house.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that could have happened because can happen there, but yeah, Coach Scott is definitely looks like he's in distress,
Yeah, I'd say
major
so.
pain. Yeah. Oh man. Well, like again, man, this show is just it keeps you guessing, which is great. You know, the timeline switches. You still like some of the key survivors, right? Because you see them now currently, but you still don't know. Okay, like Marie, like Melissa, like what happened? Like we just don't see them in the current timeline yet,
Yeah,
but it doesn't mean they haven't survived, right? So this show can go a whole bunch of different directions. It keeps you interested. It keeps you on edge. It does give you a lot of conspiracy theories to kind of play around with, which is great. Um, like you alluded to, the actors have done a phenomenal job.
yeah,
Uh,
they do. They do a
it's
fantastic
like
job.
right, and you're like, dude, like what the heck you got? And even like in Coach Scott's character, I think is really deep. He's explaining his whole situation, how he came to be, and things that didn't go right in his life. So you kind of got an insight on him
Yeah,
a little bit more in this episode, which was great. Misty, like the character playing Misty, adult and young Misty, great. Like just everyone's doing a phenomenal job and pushing the story along, and just kind of the suspense of who done it, right? So now we got to find out who won the live body, and this adds more fuel to the fire because people are starting to die off now that they've already been back. This is what our third death since they've been back. It was Travis,
and
Natalie,
Natalie and her. Yeah,
Lottie, yeah. So whatever's in the wilderness must have followed them back. They have
yeah, it's gonna
problems.
definitely gonna be interesting. I think we're gonna finally start seeing like the overall reason for the current timeline's shenanigans. I think it's on the horizon. So I'm really hoping that Hilary Swank makes an appearance before the finale of the episode of the season.
Right?
Um,
Cliffhanger.
but yeah, like Jack said in the comments, like curious as to why wait this long to kind of come around for your revenge if this is what you were plotting. Um, I don't know. That's going to be definitely interesting to see what the overall main villain's motivations are. Um, but this is a show where I think pretty much everyone's a villain in some form or fashion. But it's gonna be interesting to see where the characters go for sure.
Everybody's got blood on their hands.
That's
No
right,
pun
man.
intended.
That's right. But yeah, hey guys, I think that about wraps us up, bro. What do you got?
Hey man, look, again, I enjoy doing this. I hope you guys enjoy doing it with us. We did. I do want to bring up the poll because we did have a poll. It goes back a couple of episodes, and I will say this: the winner of the best superhero transformation, right? So you had Doctor Strange, you had Superman, Incredible Hulk, and Iron Man, and by a slight margin, Incredible Hulk won with
Oh,
42%.
rightfully
And
so.
my choice, I'm going to tell you right now, it was Superman. Yes, it was 1981. Superman running down the alley, turning to Superman with music playing in the background. Still the most iconic transformation. I don't care what y'all say. And 6%, it was only my vote. I was the only one that voted. I don't care. But to me, that was my childhood. All right. That's all I got to say about that. Was six. All right. Let me have that. Okay.
Fair enough, man. But you can't beat that Hulk transformation in
I
Avengers
know. It
one.
really was
You just
badass,
can't.
bro. It really was. Yeah, I
It's one of
have to
those
admit.
moments where the theater kind of cheers for it, you know. So that's pretty awesome.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Well, hey
All right.
guys, we're gonna be back at it tomorrow. We're doing a movie review, and stay tuned for what we're doing. But yeah, it's a 2023 film, so small. I don't think many people probably have heard of it, but yeah, we're gonna review it tomorrow. So come out and check us out. And that's pretty much all I got, man. Like, subscribe, and give us a thumbs up, and hit us up in the comments. Let us know what you think. Hey, if you guys are checking out any other good shows, let us know, man, because it seems like lately we're always in a show hole. So um, just let us know, because
Right. Some diamonds in the rough out there.
yeah, there really are, but you got to look for them, and scrolling endlessly gets old fast. So let us know. And hey, man, there's a fair amount of chaos in the world right now. So just be kind to your fellow human beings, and we'll all get through this okay. Take care of each other, all right?
All
The
right.
Fat Bro Garambo out here.
Big Nick Fury. Till next time.